Hello again, everybody. The Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila, brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you after the Giants win in Cleveland. So the Giants break into the win column. Wasn't easy, wasn't pretty. It was a pretty ugly second half, but they were able to get the job done. We come to you on the Mike Francesa channel on Bet Rivers Network. On YouTube after this Giant win. The Giants, the game couldn't have started worse. Obviously, the turnover on the kickoff and then the touchdown on the first play of the game to Cooper. But after that, the Giants put up 21 consecutive points to take the 21-7 lead into the half. There were two plays that were enormous in the first half of the game. Number one, down 7-0, Jones throws a pick, and fortunately, Newsome hit him in the helmet, and he gets a roughing the passer call. A huge play. Otherwise, this game could have gotten broken open right there. The other one was Nabers making a catch over the opposite corner for a 26-yard gain that should have been picked off. Now, when Ward was on Nabers, he was very quiet. When he went to the other corner, he ate him alive. And that happened in the second quarter of the game. He gets 5 catches. He gets 2 touchdowns. Second half, they put Ward on him to shut him down. They shut him down in the second half. Giants didn't score in the second half. They could have scored, obviously. Singletary decided to end the game. Right move by going down the 1-yard line after the Browns had messed the game up. The Browns messed the game up so many times in the fourth quarter, but then the Giants almost messed the game up by missing a 48-yard field goal, too. If you have a guy in the league, he's got to be able to make it inside 50. That's all there is to it. Or he's got to be gone. If he can't make a 50-yarder or inside 50, then you got to get somebody else. So that was a test right there, and he didn't pass it. They had to get that field goal there to ice the game. They didn't. They left the game wide open. And then, of course, Watson, who had an up-and-down day, listen, he was under duress. Cleveland came into this game banged up on the offensive line. They've been banged up on the offensive line all year. But they sustained injuries to the offensive line during the game. So now you're playing with a host of backups, and not only backups, you got guards playing tackle. When you have guards playing tackle in the NFL, you're dead. And the Giants had a party with their pass rush. You knew they would. But Watson, when he did have time, he did make some connections to Cooper, but that was more Cooper than it was Watson. Watson made some terrible throws when he had wide open receivers. Really bad. Now, he's up and down, but he did put the last pass on fourth down right on right between Tillman's 1 and 9, and he dropped it. And that's one that's going to haunt him all week. It's going to haunt him when they replay the game. I mean, it's going to be a tough thing sitting in the meeting and watching that, because that's the catch on fourth down you have to make. You got hit right between the numbers. It would have been a first down. I don't know if they're going to score there or not, but they're going to have an opportunity. Instead, Giants, it was over anyway, but the Giants broke it. Singletary breaks it and then goes down the 1-yard line. The game's over. The Giants get a victory. Enormous win for the Giants. Okay, big picture, enormous win. Nabers, good game again. You knew he was going to have trouble with Ward today. I mean, Ward's a great corner. You're going to have trouble with him. When he plays that kind of corner, he's going to have trouble. Anyone is. So he winds up today with a good day. I mean, he didn't have a big second half, but he wound up with 8 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Anytime you do that in the NFL, you had a good day. Anytime you catch 2 touchdown passes, you had a big day in the NFL. He catches 2 touchdown passes, made a couple of great catches, had to drop it. It's not a big deal. He's going to, his drops are going to get lost because he makes so many plays and he gets the ball targeted to him so many times. Singletary's running the ball well, but he's got to stop fumbling. He fumbled 2 games in a row. Jones had his good moments. He had his bad moments. He overthrew Johnson in the end zone on a walk-in touchdown. He had a couple of throws he would want to get back. He got fortunate with a couple if they weren't picked off. They weren't. Overall, good day for the defense because the Browns are limited. They don't have their tight end. They don't have an offensive line. And Watson, I still think, is nursing a bad arm. He's not the same quarterback he was in Houston. But the Giants get a 21-15 victory. That's the story. They get to move on. They got a big Thursday night game with Dallas. Then they play at Seattle, which is playing Miami today. Then they play home on Sunday night against Cincinnati. So the wins were going to be tough to come by after opening the season 0-2. Now they get a big W at 1-2. They get to smile. Hey, if they can ever get the Dallas game, Dallas, of course, in a big one this afternoon with Baltimore. If they can just ever get to 2-2 and get the 11 days off, that would be a great start for the Giants. Is it asking too much? The Cowboys have pounded them the last couple of years. We know that. We'll see what happens. But at least right now, they're not 0-3. At least they made up for that loss to Washington. If I had told you after the opening game against Minnesota, which looks better now because Minnesota pounded Houston today, and Sam Darnold, we always knew Sam could throw the ball. You wondered whether he'd find a home. He has found a home. He's got 8 touchdowns, 2 intercepts, and they're 3-0. But Minnesota looking pretty good right now. And that's a quality win. Last week they beat San Francisco. This week they beat Houston. Those are good teams. And they beat the heck out of Houston today. Yes, their defense is playing surprisingly well. But, Jefferson's going to catch the ball right now. Sam, who's always been able to throw the ball, is doing a good job. 8 touchdowns, 2 INTs, as I said. They're off to a very good start. But for the Giants, you can take the 2 games in a tandem, but getting that first one makes up for last week. If I had told you that they could get a split, Washington and Cleveland, and come back 1-2 for the Cowboys, you would have taken it. I would have taken it. 2 road games after losing the home game, open the season, I would have taken it. So they're 1-2 right now, and they get the Cowboys at home. If they could turn around and beat the Cowboys on Thursday night, get 11 days off, it's a whole different season than it could have been with a loss today. So this was a very, very big win for them. I thought that the play calling in the first half did a nice job against what Schwartz wanted to do with his defense. I know Garrett wasn't 100% today. He still gave Thomas a hard day. He's going to give anybody a hard day. But he's got a foot problem, and he limped off the field again late in the game today. The Giant pass rush, big today. You knew they would get pressure because you knew how banged up Cleveland has been at tackle. And then when you have guards playing tackle and reserve players starting on the offensive line and then jumping in to tackle, you know you have all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. And Cooper made some good plays today. Nabers made some good plays today. Jones made some good plays today. He made some bad plays today. So overall, big, big win. Case closed. They had to get out of Cleveland with a win today. They did. They have to be very happy with their pass rush. They have to be very happy with Nabers. I think they're okay with Jones. It wasn't great, but it was okay. It was pretty good. I mean, listen, he had a good game. He didn't have a bad game. He got a little fortunate, but that's okay. His overall numbers are fine. And the W is all that matters. Get the win, get out, get ready in 4 days for the Cowboys. At home. Cowboys are going to be coming off a very physical game today against Baltimore. Now, let's see where the Cowboys are after today. They got embarrassed last week. And remember, Saints, we wanted to see how they reacted after beating up on Carolina and then beating up on the Cowboys, how they reacted today. They got beat as Philly comes from behind and gets an enormous win. Saints trailed. They took the lead. Eagles on 3rd and long hit a 61-yard play to the tight end. Barkley, who has another big game, 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. Eagles win an enormous game in New Orleans today. Coming off that loss against the Falcons Monday night, that was a big, big win. Big win for for the Eagles today. I mean, and it tempers the Saints. You know, you were wondering, are the Saints for real? I was wondering the same thing. Are the Saints for real? You know, I was wondering the same thing. And you know what? Not that they aren't better, but they didn't put a hurting on the Eagles today. And the Eagles get a big win after losing a primetime game to the Falcons, which was a tough loss. They come back and get a win today and get the 2-1, which is a big positive for them to get that game. Otherwise today, Broncos, you know, Tampa won a game last week in Detroit. I didn't think they'd win. Then they lose a game today to Denver, which I actually thought they might lose because they're a lousy favorite. And they played like a lousy favorite today. So they came back down to earth with a thud today, getting beat up by the Broncos, who played a lot better. Pitt wins against the Chargers to go to 3-0. Vikings to 3-0. Chargers didn't have to win today in Pitt. They're banged up at quarterback. Steelers get a win, gets a 3-0. Good start. Very good start. You know, you have to be very happy with that, happy the way their defense was played. So good start for them. And a very big win for the Eagles early. Big win for the Vikings over a good Houston team. And a couple of other, you know, I guess you're going to call Denver a surprise. They were decided underdog. But I wasn't shocked by that game. As a matter of fact, I picked Denver. I wasn't shocked. I didn't think it'd be as easy as it was, but I did think Denver had a chance today because Peyton's in his life, he's been a good big underdog coach. And I thought Denver would bounce back after playing lousy. And I thought Tampa was riding too high and has been a bad big favorite. So they never were in that game today, as a matter of fact. Never really got it going. So the Giants get a win. The Jets, of course, got their win on Thursday night. They will see Denver next week. The Giants will see the Cowboys on Thursday night. We have a couple of big games in the late game, but especially for an early season game, I will be fascinated by this Baltimore-Dallas game. Either Dallas is going to be 1-2 or the Ravens are going to be 0-3. Now, either one is unexpected. And this is a big game for an early season game. Ravens can't afford to open 0-3. Jackson has never opened 0-2. Harbaugh has only opened 0-2 once in his years in Baltimore. And that year he went 5-11. So that was a crushing loss they had last week. And I thought today the Raiders, who were playing in the late slot against Carolina, I thought with Dalton at quarterback today, Carolina, which had been miserable the first 2 weeks, would play a highly competitive game today. Raiders are coming off a big win. They're coming back across the country after a big win against Baltimore. They're getting a team that's been giving up, 40 points first 2 weeks, gotten slaughtered the first 2 weeks. No one's as bad as Carolina's look. Now Dalton goes in at quarterback. I thought they would be dangerous today in that spot. Getting the points, of course, but be dangerous. We'll see how that works out. I have no idea who wins the Baltimore Cowboy game. I can't wait to watch it. I have no idea. I do think the Falcons are going to play well against the Chiefs. I know Mahomes' September record. The only quarterback in history who has a better September record than Mahomes is Roger Staubach. So you have to respect that. They don't have Pacheco. The play of both tight ends is going to be fascinating. Kelsey hasn't gotten off to a fast start, and it seems like they never get Pitts going. So it'll be interesting to see how that works tonight and see how big a lift Atlanta gets going home off that huge come from behind win against the Eagles. But I would not be surprised. I really wouldn't. I would not be surprised if the Falcons. I think it'll be a very close game tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons won. I would not at all. Now, Mets are playing tonight. I wanted to look quickly on this. Remember, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Yankee Orioles, which doesn't have the steam anymore. Mets in Atlanta has the steam. I want to see if the Braves won that game today, because if they, that puts the pressure on the Mets, who have to go against Wheeler tonight at 7:00. Braves won. Braves won. So the Mets go this evening against Wheeler, and if the Mets don't beat Wheeler tonight, if they lose to Wheeler tonight, they would be 1 up. It would be 1 up. So going to Atlanta. Neither team plays tomorrow. So they would be up 1 game going to Atlanta. So they'll either be 2 up or 1 up going to Atlanta. 2 up makes a big difference than 1. So this is a big game for the Mets tonight with Wheeler on the mound with the Phillies at 7:00 this evening. So you have an interesting Sunday night game with the Chiefs and the Falcons, and you have a big baseball game tonight. And it's good to see the Mets drawing, It really is. I mean, the crowds this week, I was very fascinated to see what the crowds would be. The crowds have been good. It's been a big time for them. It really has. And it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. And with the Yankees having now opened up a very substantial lead, takes a lot of steam out of their series at home against the Orioles. Really does. Yankees, the only question left for them is going to be whether or not they wind up with the best record or not. That's really what it's going to be about. Nothing else. So from that standpoint, it's the Yankees and Cleveland. And which one's going to finish with the 1 seed? They're both going to finish 1-2. Houston's going to finish 3. So the Yankees and Cleveland get buys, but still like to be the 1 seed. Yankees hold a small edge there. We'll see how that works out. But that has lost all its steam. The Orioles just, not winning that game yesterday when they had second, third, no out, and the game tied, and they don't get a run home, and then they lose it in extra innings. That was a tough loss. Very tough loss. And the Yanks, I know Oakland jumped out on them today, but Yanks looking for a sweep in Oakland, and then they come back, get the Orioles. But Yankees have won the division. For all intents and purposes, the division's over. It's about the Mets and Atlanta, and let's see how they do against Wheeler this evening. But the storyline right here, the Giants, a big win, some good things, a shaky second half. When the Browns got the 2-point conversion, I gotta say, I can see this ending up 22-21. Thankfully, it didn't. They got a win, and now they get ready for the Cowboys on Thursday night. We'll see you later.